Oh, hello, and welcome to Around the Verse, our weekly look at the development of Star Citizen. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Chris Roberts. So as you can see, we have a nice little gift on our table here. So we had Jeremy visit us from New Zealand with his daughter Chloe, and they left us this gift. So we'll open it on camera. So let's see what happens here. Okay, maybe I won't open it that easily on camera. But impressively enough, Chloe actually knew much more about Star Citizen than her father. So that's pretty cool. And bodes well for the future of Star Citizen. So let's have a look. Apparently, I believe this is something that is very cool in New Zealandy. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, so here, let me take it out.
Exciting.
There we go. All right.
Ooh, look at that.
And it is the Kuru, a symbol of life, new beginnings, growth and harmony, support and loving protection.
Exciting.
Thank you very much. That is awesome, Jeremy and Chloe. Brilliant. Okay.
Get that off the table, though.
I will get that off the table. Go back to reading your paper if you want.
No, I'm good.
All right, so we have some great news to share today. So later this month, Star Citizen will be the featured story in 3D World magazine. The magazine spoke with a number of our art directors about how they became game artists.
Yes, they did. So if you're interested in a career as a game artist, this will be a must-read when it comes out on May 17th.
Yeah, so Josh, our character art director, has spent some time updating our various alien character designs. You've seen recently the Banu, and we did a sneak peek of the Vandal this past week. And what we'd like to do right now is share you sort of the updated Jean sculpt, which will be shown in the 3D World magazine. But I wanted to give you guys a sort of heads up. Here you go.
The Jean has undergone some changes since we last saw them. Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they certainly have. Now let's go to Austin and Turbulent for their studio updates.
Hey guys, Jake Ross here, producer here in Austin. There have been some exciting developments in the Austin studio this month, and we're excited to share them with you for this week's studio update. With 2.6.3 out the door, we are finally moving forward with our major features for the Big 3.0 patch. The Austin design team will be responsible for several things in the upcoming release. First, and most notably, is that we've made progress on adding commodity trading in the game. Since several things need to come together on the tech side for this first, the LA programmers have been furiously working on the shopping code rewrite, the commodity kiosk, and ship persistence so that commodity trading can be possible. Not much to show you guys visually on this just yet, but our next update should be in a great spot to give you a first look. Second, we have been finishing up several of our first batch of usable requests for our first round of shops. These are created so we can get the 4 required disciplines, design, animation, tech art, and system design, on the same page about each usable's intended purpose and functionality. Once all the required assets are created, it will come back from a design to do the final hookup. Next, we're plotting out our first mission giver experience for 3.0. Getting Miles Eckhart into the game is the primary focus. There are necessary building blocks to make this happen. As you can see in this conversation tree, there is quite a bit that he will be able to do, like give a constant stream of missions and enable players to earn reputation and higher tier mission options. As we're still in our planning phase, this sprint hasn't quite started just yet. We'll hopefully have more to show in our next update. Finally, we're in the middle of breaking down the Levski landing zone. This write-up details all the things you'll be able to do in this location. Some of these include how players will smuggle into the city and which content will go into side tunnels. This placement of the mission givers and their content, the factions within Levski, and the political aims of these factions. We don't want to get into too much detail and spoil the end result for you, but we've got some awesome things planned for this landing zone and can't wait for you to see it evolve into the vision we've currently got in the works. On the art side, ship artist Josh Coons has been busy completing the damage model pass on the Cutlass Black. By far, the most time-consuming part during this phase is creating the intricate trellis work on the parts that get blown off, like the wings and the body. He works closely with tech art to make sure the ship breaks apart and receives surface hull damage in the correct areas. Once damage is completed, it also marks the stage in the pipeline where the ship is pretty much ready to go. All that's left is to make the LODs. The PU animation team is currently updating all the existing usable animations to use the new robust usable system. This will save us on our memory footprint and allow us to create a large number of unique animations more quickly. We took advantage of our desks getting rearranged to set up our mocap system. We needed to do a quick pickup shoot to capture a few things that has popped up since the last shoot. We captured picking up crates of different sizes from different heights and operating door controls and various other transition animations. We are also working on picking up two-handed objects as part of our looting system. With this functionality, we will be able to interact with more objects in-game. This opens the possibility for more missions and activities. If you see a box on the ground and you want to pick it up, you'll be able to walk up to it, pick it up, carry it back to your ship, and put it in your cargo hold for transport back to your hangar. The Austin ship animation team is wrapping up the reworked version of the Drake Cutlass, as well as creating new zero-G enters and exits animations for the Drake Dragonfly. We are also in the midst of improving our cockpit experience by adding hit reactions, button presses, and updating our cockpit layouts to maximize the overall cockpit experience. More on this to come. This month has been a busy one for the backend services engineering team as well. We've been focused on bringing Diffusion, our new backend services architecture, online and ready for prime time. We're converting some of the more trivial services, such as Friends, Analytics, Authentication, and Presence from legacy architecture to fully diffusionized services running with our OOZ language. We are moving next into the larger and more complex services like Persistence Cache, Game Server Management and Matchmaker, and Persistence Database. These services will be broken up into smaller microservices to meet our performance, scalability, and availability needs. The game server and client are very close to being diffusionized as well, which will close the communication gap between the backend and the front end. In addition, we're making various optimizations to the system, such as a technique we call router biasing. This allows us to apply advanced bandwidth control techniques between services types in the Diffusion network. Austin QA's focus over the very earliest parts of April was testing to get 263 out to the players, with multiple PTU pushes leading to 263 going live. The team spent a lot of time supporting the live build over the first week of April. Most of our new hires finished their basic early training in the month and have all begun testing alongside their mentors full-time on both Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. After 263 went live, Austin QA shifted full-time to Game Dev branch for testing. This has been both to continue work on stabilizing the branch and to begin more rigorous testing in preparation towards 3.0. Some of the items we've actively been testing are several new ships, in-depth sweeps of some of our procedural planet environments for bugs, testing megamap improvements, new implementations for player interactions, item 2.0 conversions, movement system refactors, and the new field of view controls, to name a few. The development teams have been lining up new documentation and data for QA to polish up our test cases to ensure we are ready to jump on new content as it comes online. One of our testers has begun working directly with the Austin animation team to clean up new mocap files for the development teams. Several other team members have also been engaged with in-depth testing of new and updated engine tools alongside the Frankfurt QA team, ensuring that the new tools will function as designed so our designers can better implement and create content. The player relations team spent a full week with Benoit and the Turbulent team working on Spectrum improvements. They also added a couple new team members and are excited to continue to serve our growing community needs. Of particular relevance to 3.0, the player relations team has started adding new Evocati and updating our PTU waves, as we know everyone will be excited to test out the new content when it's available. That's all I have for you this month, guys. Thanks for watching and for your support. We'll see you in the verse.
Hey guys, here's the April update from Turbulent and the platform team. So this month we've released Spectrum version 0.3.3, which contains a new type of discussion called nested threads, which is basically when you reply to another reply, it will go into a nested format. So you can see a discussion trail out from a specific reply. And the first level of these replies are sorted by default by votes. So most upvoted subtrees get upvoted to the top. This is very Reddit style type of discussion. And so when you start a new discussion on Spectrum 0.3.3 and up, you can decide which type of discussion you want to start, whether you want to start a chronological classic thread, which goes in order, or a nested thread. Now, this new type of discussion, we hope, will allow more dynamic, faster threads. And obviously, the upvote feature is going to be useful for a lot of the community teams for many of the features that they want to do, like gathering questions. Now, this project goes so fast that in a month, we've been able to release 0.3.3 and get feedback on it. So we know that not everybody likes nested threads. And so we plan on trying to transform this from a discussion type to a view option so that you can decide how you want to view a specific thread or all threads. So if you like chronological, you'll be able to view them as such. And nested, you'll be able to choose that as such. So we're still looking into how we're going to do that, but we're listening to your feedback and we're thinking that this might be a more powerful feature, so we're going to get it done. One other change that we're looking for Also for nested threads is how unread status works. Currently it's a bit iffy, so you can find your red marker. We're going to try to see how we can improve that, as well as do a little staff tracking in there, so you could know from the top of the thread list which have had a staff response. This is going to be particularly useful for the Ask a Dev forums. Also included in 0.3.3 is the ability to flag posts for moderation. So this also works within your orgs and obviously in the public community, where you can flag a reply, a thread, or a message for moderation. And so public moderators, in the case of the public Star Citizen community, can come and intervene. In your private orgs, then all your officers or people who have the moderation permission will receive a notification and then go investigate. And so that's how we handle the flagging in Spectrum. Also, one more update in 0.3.3 is progress on mobile support for the keyboard system that we use. And so it's way more usable than it used to be. It's still not perfect, but at least we've done massive progress there, and we're hoping to get it fixed in the next release for all types of cases. So look forward to that. Currently, the team is working on the next release, which is 0.3.4. The main feature that we're looking to add there is some more refinement on how we use tags as subforums. And so we're going to surface these tags at the top level on the community index, in the channel list, so that you can actually jump directly from a global community index to a specific tag within a channel. And so the second part of that is that we're going to also allow you guys to bookmark a tag, just like if it was a channel in itself. And so this will, I think, give us the functionality of a subforum while keeping the tagging system in place, which is a very nice way to just make this very dynamic. So hopefully we'll see that in 0.3.4. Also, the major undertaking we're doing is adding way more filters and work on the search subsystem, which will basically power all of view my own post, view somebody else's post. So search by author, search by role, which will also allow you guys to search for dev posts. And then all of this feature set from search will power a new mini profile. So you'll be able to just jump directly to a list of posts from a specific player directly from the mini profile. One other feature, which is more of a back-end thing that we're working on, is virtual lists. You might have noticed that we have an issue rendering long presence lists in the chat lobbies. So that's why the backers group is usually collapsed by default in the general forums. And so we're working on a technical solution called virtual lists that will allow us to just render what we see plus a buffer. And so this will save on performance and allow us to have everybody present in the lobby list anyway. And so we're going to be able to use virtual lists for that, but also for other features, like in the chat lobby. One of the most reported issues that we have is you can't jump directly to a message and then go back in time. Virtual lists will allow us to do that, because we're going to change the history mechanism for lobbies to be able to do that. So we're working on this in 0.3.4. In the meantime, the research team from Spectrum is working on the overlay, which is basically for Spectrum Desktop, an integration between the game and Spectrum. And so this is basically taking our Redux application store and moving it to an area where two processes can basically benefit from it. And so this way we can have an overlay that's over the game and your desktop client synchronized without having to double the resources for it. So that's what the guys have been working on. The work has begun as well on PM groups. So the ability to basically refactor the current 101 PM system to have more than one person in a group, so you can have basically some kind of a party system for a specific lobby. So this is what we're doing on the research side, on top of what we're already doing. So I'm just back from Austin with a few discussions with the team at CIG over there, where we presented the new design for some of the art that we're doing for the site revamp. So that went really well. And so we're hoping, we can't show it just yet, but we're hoping we'll be able to showcase some of those changes to you guys before we actually get to do them. One thing that between now and our next monthly report that you'll see is that we're going to be doing some pretty major infrastructure changes by moving the platform to a new set of hardware. Hopefully this will not cause any disruption, but there should be a small downtime since we're lift and shifting everything. But that's going to be one of our major tasks upcoming when I'm done filming this video, which is pretty cool. And so otherwise, we'll see you guys in the verse.
So just looking at Eckhart's conversation tree really shows the complexity we're putting into our mission givers. Building the logic system that drives these interactions is very complex due to the size and demands of our universe and mission system, but I think when it all comes together, it will be pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And when it comes to building that universe, there's a department essential for keeping it all running. Take a look.
I'm Mike Jones, and I'm Director of Corporate and Publishing Technology for Cloud Imperium Games. And right now, I think that's the longest title we have in the company. And it's based because of the merging of our DevOps and our IT departments. And so my responsibility for IT covers the hardware side of things and the infrastructure side of things, but the network and the security and the server deployments and all the automation and all the orchestration that goes into that is all built here with our DevOps team. So there's not a single piece of that that is something that we got from someone else. So there are a few services that we make use of that are commonplace, but for the most part, our systems are all custom designed specifically for our needs. And the reason for that, of course, is this is a very unique game, and we have very unique needs. And so one of my main focuses this month has been our build system and the need for more build resources. Our current build system is made up of 6 high-density servers with a grand total of 240 vCores and 2.3 terabytes of RAM. And this is chock full of build VMs, and we recently introduced the tri-build system, which is just as many more build systems that are designed to do a pre-compile when there's a code check-in. This helps maintain the stability of our build system and the builds as they come out. As we continue to grow our system, we're seeing more and more traffic coming through and more competition for resources. Part of what's happening is we're dealing with problems that we haven't had to deal with before. On previous game projects I've been on, we thought we were doing something big, and it's nothing compared to what we're building here. And so just the amount of assets alone, the art, the pre-compressed data that's coming in is a tremendous amount. If I do a transfer of just one version of the build over a 10 gig network, it can take a half hour to 45 minutes. And this is why we have to break these jobs up. And it's the same with the rest of the game. We break things into pieces so that we can do more in parallel. That's how we get it going fast, and that's the only way we can make this work. Under our current deployment, our primary build system consumes 6 hosts spread across a VMware clustered environment. This configuration allowed us to add tri-build to the existing environment, but as we grew, we saw increasing resource contention. This pretty much leads to longer wait times on a tri-build job. By adding 3 more hosts, we're able to completely isolate tri-build from the primary build system. And this is important, particularly for the engineers who use tri-build constantly. A lot of people don't really realize why it takes so much more to build these builds inside the build system rather than the kind of compile that we do on our desktop computer. And in the traditional sense, when you're compiling on your desktop, you're doing one thing. You're bringing down source code and you're making that compilation of a client or a server, whatever you happen to be working on. But in the build system, we have many needs and we have to do all of it. So in addition to building both the client and the server, I'm building release and profile on multiple branches, sometimes as many as 3. So this means that anytime a build request comes in, we're spinning up a large number of virtual machines. And we found that with the size of this game, the build times can really spread out. So we break those jobs into many smaller pieces. And this is why we can accordion the build process out into this much more server hardware. The reason that we choose to host our services externally rather than internally. There are just a myriad of reasons, but it gives us a tremendous scalability and flexibility. I can pay for just exactly what I need instead of having to make this large capital investment on a whole bunch of gear and then all the bandwidth so that people could access it. And if you think about the multi-region launch that we did recently, we wouldn't be able to as easily do that if we had stuff located and physically stuck in one data center. And this leads us to the need to expand our build system. So today, we're expanding our current rack of 6 hosts by 3 more hosts. We'll be including a total of 72 more virtual cores and a whole lot of networking, and it's going to be really fun. Since our current enclosure was at capacity, we added a second enclosure and wired it in. Ultimately, we plan to move all hosts to the first enclosure and all storage to the second enclosure for simplicity, but we have to take that in phases. We then rack the servers from the bottom to the top in order to leave room for future expansion. Once we got them installed, we realized our fiber cables weren't the right length, so we moved the servers up a bit to account for that temporarily. Once connected, we installed and configured the software for use. We can do that pretty fast now since everything is virtualized on our own little cloud environment. From there, it's a simple process to migrate the virtual machines over with vMotion. This means we can completely migrate a running system over the network with 0 downtime. Each time we do one of these jobs, we end up with a mess of cables. It happens all the time and I feel like I'm constantly fixing it. In fact, it's kind of a thing now and everyone likes to see how long it'll take before I find it and fix it, which usually isn't that long. I do this pretty much at every studio I go to now. Once we had all the parts, we were able to get the whole thing up and running in just under 3 hours. As a result, we're now seeing much less contention in the build system, and now we've got some room to grow again. And I'm sure we're going to need it.
There you go. So that's pretty cool. And as Mike said, we're developing a very unique game, has very unique needs. This tends to throw unforeseen obstacles at all our departments. While developing a game like this is exciting, it also takes time to overcome some of these obstacles, as you guys know.
And one thing that makes us unique is the variety of ships you can fly in the PU. So if you're a subscriber, you can fly the Drake Buccaneer as part of the Ship of the Month. Also, subscribers get the Gladius Valiant as part of a flash sale this weekend. So if you're interested in learning more about this, check out the link in the description.
Yep, and so that's it for today's episode. Please join us tomorrow for Happy Hour Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Jared Huckabee will interview Brian Chambers about everything that's happening at the Frankfurt studio. So that will be a pretty cool episode. And after this week, Happy Hour will air bi-weekly. So don't miss tomorrow's episode.
But before we go, I want to thank all the subscribers who make this show possible and also other shows like Happy Hour.
And we're also grateful to all the backers for supporting the development of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We wouldn't be able to make this game without you. So thanks for watching, and in the spirit of May the 4th, we thought it would be fun to show you a little glimpse of Mark Hamill in the cockpit of Squadron 42.
Awesome. We'll see you
around the verse.
Come on, Lieutenant. First we clear our assigned patrol, then we'll rendezvous with Trejo. And Lieutenant, make sure Trejo understands this is your op. She goes off again like what happened at the Sting, I'm pulling you. I'm not gonna be your dad if that's what you're asking. Kid is just a nickname.
About the computer behind you.
A few of us in the IT department started building custom computers and getting them a little bit fancier and fancier, and so finally we started having a bit of a competition. It's kind of a thing for us that we continually compete with these projects. So this is my build, and then one of our other guys, Paul, is working on one which should be ready in a few weeks, and he's probably, like usual, he's going to beat me, and then I'll turn around and beat him right back.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.
get punched in the throat.